All right, welcome back to another episode of Unbound Being. As you know, my name is Roald, and I talk about all kinds of subjects that basically have to do with how we, as human beings, and interrelating with all creatures on this planet, can become more free. And today, I have a subject which is basically about sovereignty, right? This word sovereignty. I did some research a while ago, well, for the last basically my whole life, but intensely I did some research about sovereignty. A lot of people talk about sovereignty, which of course means to be unbound from any body, organization, or group of people, or agenda of other people, which can tell you what to do, except the universe itself. I mean, the universe itself manifested you and manifested me. And we can be arrogant, or we can be all boastful about what we are and how we're running everything. Well, the fact still is that I am breathing right now, and I don't know how. That my heart is beating, and I don't know how. That my body is metabolizing and getting my sugar levels balanced out, and it's growing my skin and my hair, and my bones are regenerating. So that's the universe. And I'm breathing oxygen, which is coming in and out, and things that are going on with the carbon dioxide. And I am not... I'm basically bound in that sense to this whole universe. I am the universe. I'm part of the universe. And I can't unbind myself from that. But sovereignty, that word of sovereignty really tries to say that there is a certain freedom within the boundness of everything. We are bound, definitely, by the fact that you take the sun away, bam, we are dead. I mean, I don't know if it takes a fraction of a second, but I think if whatever the sun is, right, this nuclear fission, or this, whatever it is, this energetic, huge thing, which we can't even imagine how big the sun is, and that's even small for the rest of the universe, right? So if the sun would turn off, I think probably a fraction of a second would all be dead, because the sun and the field of energy that comes out of it is powering really the entire solar system, for as far as we know, right? And that means that gravity and everything on this planet is basically gone in the moment you would turn off the sun. So we're really not sovereign in the sense that you can ever be sovereign, which means that you can be an independent section of the whole. We can't be disconnected from the whole. We are the entire universe. And that's a good thing, because the universe is brilliant and we are generally mediocre, right? If at best, really. Because if you really acknowledge the facts, then you'll realize, at least I do, that the more I learn, the less I know stuff, but the less I really know. I mean, I really realize that I don't know much at all. In fact, I don't even know how my body's able to sit here and have all these functions in my body, right? And things going on. So, but there is another type of sovereignty that people generally talk about. It's not necessarily the sovereignty of having no other government or something over you, because that should not be, really. Really, you should have only the divine over you, the consciousness, the universal, brilliant intelligence that is basically doing it all, if you want to call it that, right? Being it all. And that being, that unbound being, the father of all, the creator of all, the origins of what we are, that energetic field is the only thing that should have anything to say about you or do about you. Which means, for example, you stick your hand in fire, well, your hand will burn. That is the sacred law, and that is, well, at least the law of this plane that we live in at this moment, right? This universal physical type of level of plane, right? But there should be no government, which usually is a group of people who probably know less than yourself, generally speaking. That's why it's called government, right? Governamente, which is to mind control. Control mind. It's basically two Latin words saying governar and mente, which is mind control. Now, that is not somebody that should rule over you, some president or some group of people that usually don't have your best interest, not even the universe's best interest. That's what people mean with sovereignty. So there is a certain freedom within the unfreedom. There is a certain unbinding in the system that's really bound, because we are interconnected. Everything is the universe, and you are it. And it is you. We are it all, right? The whole thing. So in that sense, you can never be sovereign, because you are the universe. An intricate part, and unmissable as the rest, and as a part, and the part is both ways, right? The part cannot be taken out without affecting the whole, and the whole cannot be taken away without affecting the part. And either is as important as the other. And that's something hard to imagine. We'll talk about it in some other video, but that's actually the way it is. You take the part away, The part is just as important to the whole as the whole. The whole doesn't function the way it is without the part, and all parts. So in that sense, we are bound. We are bound, but we are bound by that intelligence which we are, which is the good intelligence, which is the life, the force coming through, and the, whatever you want to call it, the power, the essence of what we are, the universe, right? That's okay. But then there's this other sovereignty, this other part, which says, I'm going to control you. Some president, some group, some military, somebody say, you do this, and otherwise, we will punish you. Right? Which is nothing to do with universal energy. It does because the universe allows it, and in that sense it's right. It doesn't mean it's good, but it's right. And how can you be free of that? And that's the thing, to be an unbound being, you should see the difference. And that's what I'm trying to point out in this video, that what you'll see is how it turns out that if you realize that, yes, you are bound to the laws of, you could call it physics, the universal laws of the law of attraction, the law of as within, so without, all these physical laws, including gravity. There are certain things that are physical, and there's certain things that are mental laws, spiritual laws, but the ones that are by the universe are actually really just and really good. And in that sense, you don't want to be unbound from those. You want to be in sync with those. And then on the other hand, you have the human-made laws, which are usually made by people with agendas, and not very good agendas at that, generally speaking. I mean, there's exceptions, but most agendas and laws in the world are there to protect the status quo and not to serve all mankind and the universal principles of growth and abundance. And when you're bound by those, that's generally not a good thing. So when people talk about being an unbound being, or when they talk about sovereignty, they're talking about being an unbound being, unbound from those factors that should not have control. I was born, this body was born, if you want to say in the past, right? Which is relative, but we'll talk about that in another video. But this body is being held together in this moment by the universal principles of life itself. And that is the only thing that should have anything to say over me. Right? And as long as I'm not killing or maiming or damaging other people, then I should be able to be an unbound being, a sovereign human being who does not need somebody to nanny over me, and especially not somebody who's generally, that's what happens with these governments, right? That generally are less fit. They make worse judgments. Most governments, and especially the big ones, are tyrants. They go in and steal other countries' resources and kill other people. So to be an unbound being, to be sovereign, is to recognize your inherent connection to the universe itself and let that rule you. Join up with that. Like Jesus must have said, the Father and I am one. Well, he meant the universal will and I am one. But then again, Jesus also went out and tipped over the money changers, which were the greedy bastards in the churches that were trying to steal the money from people and gain material wealth when they really weren't being the free humans, the free, unbound, sovereign, aligned with the will of God beings that they should be. So it seemed like Jesus said to one, well, I'm the will, the Father and I am one. My will is one with the will of the one, the Father, the universe. And then you have this other side that says, well, those guys are not with the will, and therefore they're infringing on my sovereignty. And that's really, as unbound beings, what we want to avoid. We want to align ourselves as much with this because that helps everybody else to align as well. And we want to be unaligned with the things and people, including our own minds and negative thoughts and things that are going on, that are trying to disharmonize ourselves with the unbound being, the will of the Father, the will of the universe, the sacred laws of the universe. So in that sense, I hope I helped you with that a little bit, about being more unbound and being sovereign. Because finally, sovereignty is to be here, to be now, and to be fully aligned with what we can be. So subscribe if you haven't, like these videos if you can, and if you do, and I hope to see you next time. Enjoy your day.